Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Aaron Smith advocates humility in leadership, and it shows in the pages of his new book, Define Yourself: When Passion, Purpose and Business Collide. In just 13 years, he founded and grew the KX Pilates brand, which now has more than 100 studios in 6 countries. Aaron begins by telling Jeff Waters why he decided to write the memoir.
I started writing my book probably 8 years ago, and it had been stopped and started many times along the way. The main reason for me writing a book was really to talk about the history of KX Pilates first and foremost, because I think when people see KX today, 13 years on, 6 countries, the leader in reformer Pilates in Australia, they think it was probably done quite easily. I'm extremely raw in my book. There's a lot of stories in there and lessons learnt and failures and more failures and probably a few more failures. But I try and see a lesson in everything that comes through in my life. So it starts about how I was brought up, my upbringing in my family, my travel adventures when I was in my 20s, which taught me an extremely huge amount in who I am as a person, taught me about adversity, built me confidence, and really shaped me into the person that I am today. And then from that, through travel, finding the style of fitness in London. Not just grabbing an idea and bringing it back to Australia, but I became a master of that style, and I stayed in London as long as I possibly could to become a master in that before I was ready to come back home.
It sounds like it's not just any business book, it's a memoir. And to use the word raw there, can you explain to us, if we're reading your book, what sort of emotions we will feel as a result of that? And what do you mean by being raw?
Yeah, so, I wear my heart on my sleeve naturally. I learnt from a very early age who I was as a person, and I'm confident in that person. So I'm quite happy to share things like, I had a compulsive eating disorder when I was in my teenage years and blew out to 104 kilograms after a knee reconstruction. That enabled me to then help clients who were in a similar situation who thought that they could never lose weight and that it wasn't possible. Fitness changed my life completely when I was growing up. And, to give you an understanding, I went to my 10-year high school reunion and no one knew who I was because I looked completely different. I was a completely different person. In my teenage years, no one would ever have thought that I would be the owner of a fitness brand in Australia. So the ability to visualize and set goals and smash them out of the park is something that I talk about. But also that I had no idea about starting a business, and I'm happy to share that I had no idea, but you learn and you go out and find out and you get your mentors and your business advisors and you go and speak to people who have been there and done that before and you learn, and the learning never stops. Success is incredible, but to stay humble as well. So again, every single chapter has lessons at the end of it that I've learned in my life that I've put back into my life and really talk about the values and the belief and the mission that the brand is on, which is directly linked to my personality. Why we haven't sold to private equity and why we're still staying independent as we grow throughout the world. Transitioning and the growth of the franchise, transitioning out of the role of a CEO and bringing a CEO on board. And then also the last couple of chapters is all about franchising. So with the success of KX Pilates being a great franchise, I've learnt a lot of lessons about franchising and how to do it right and how to do it wrong. And just my advice to people, either A, they want to franchise their business, or if they want to know if their business is even franchisable, or even to people who want to join a franchise and what to look out for. And also just to squash that myth of, joining a franchise is a surefire way to make money. You've got to work very, very hard. Like any small business, you've just got the help and the assistance of the franchisor behind you and the incredible community that a franchise brings. So there's a lot in the book. It's definitely a memoir. It's a journey. It's a guidebook of KX. It's great for us as a prospective franchise partner looking into joining KX as well. History is all in that book. It really gets to know me, the reasons behind why we do what we do, and our purpose of changing lives for the better, I think, is there. But probably most importantly, it's the people. I've included incredible people in my book who have helped me along my journey, and I always say that I started the brand, but it's the people that we've brought along the way that have made an incredible impact, and it's the reason that the brand is where and the company is where it is today is because of the incredible people that are alongside us.
Do you think that the humility that you had to learn in your early days as a result of your eating disorder and other problems, do you think that that helped prepare you in the long term?
100%.
How?
I think the more you talk about these things and get them out there and understand that no one is perfect, that everyone has their demons that they're fighting, it's completely okay and it's quite normal. And I think, especially as a male as well, we don't like talking about our feelings and things like that, but to open up the dialogue and discussions about these sort of things is just only going to bring more awareness and help to those who need it as well. So again, it's my personal purpose in life is to help people change lives for the better. And if there's any value in that book to anyone to change their life even slightly, then I've done myself good. So I'm happy with that.
Are you a writer? And I ask this wondering what it is like for you as a business person, done what you've done, to then sit down and put all of those words down onto paper. How was that process?
I do consider myself a writer. I've always been able to write quite well. This is going back to writing love notes to my early girlfriends. I used to write letters to my parents.
Oh, none of us want to see those.
No, I used to write letters to my parents of gratitude and thanking them for doing what they did. So I've always put my feelings down on paper. I tell you what I'm not good at, and that was the last couple of chapters in franchising I recorded to then have someone write, and that's what I was terrible at. I can't get my feelings and my emotions across in that sense into a book. I can do it in this scenario here fantastically. It's conversational, but in a book, I really failed at that. So I had to go back and rewrite them. Back in the early days of the business, writing the EDMs, I used to love it. I'm quite cheeky. I love having fun and joking around. And, when people read, I like them to enjoy what I write. So it takes a lot of time, effort, hence probably why it took 8 years. I'm envious of the people that can get their books ghostwritten, etc. But no, I really enjoyed it. And the same thing, even with my audiobook that I've just recorded too, it had to be my voice. As you can probably hear, the passion, the drive, the feel of the brand, it comes through how I talk and also how I write.
That's Aaron Smith, founder of KX Pilates. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.